Hey everybody, this week's show's a freebie over on Patreon. You can get the entire audio capture at patreon.com/echoplex. If you want to watch the video, you can grab it on our Odyssey channel. Just search for Echoplex Media on Odyssey, and it'll be right there in our feed. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Piss-drunk fraternity guy, you got my ass with bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. I just can't understand it. But could divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish Mr. Whitebeater, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in a blue blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like a tree and gag. Oh, I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The podcast put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics, so let the blood you spill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Welcome, podcast listeners. Welcome, live listeners and live viewers. This is the Plex. We do this show live every Sunday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific and beyond in a red light. Sometimes the show goes pretty late. Make sure you check us out at twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Support this project at patreon.com/Echoplex, or you can go to eplex.store and buy some swag. I am producer Dave, and this is what the people want.
Police officers? I don't hate the cops. And there's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Like your local police, 'cause they don't do nothing wrong. Like your local police got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fairest judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. 'Cause they don't do nothing wrong. Don't hate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job. Don't hate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Don't hate the cops. 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 Don't hate the cops.
All right, everybody, our first story. Well, not really a story. It's a video montage. Tucker Carlson had a fucking really strange one night this week. Like a real strange one. I was going to play the whole segment, but then I found this video montage of the segment, and I thought it was just much more appropriate. So we're going to run with this here.
Shut up! Shut up! Stop! Stop him! Stop him! What are you, a Russian sympathizer? What evidence do you have? What? That helps Putin. You're not allowed to say it. Be quiet! It's Russian propaganda! How dare they? Yet brilliant. Right. Really, Seth Moulton. Align with Kremlin messaging. It aligns with Kremlin messaging. Really? Is it really? You're evil. They have no idea. Don't ask. Just shut down the segment. Okay. It aligns with Russian propaganda.
See, aren't you glad we didn't watch the whole segment for whatever the fuck that was? Sometimes we just want the hits. We just want the funny part. And that was whatever that was the funny part of whatever segment was going on. I believe it was a segment about the pipeline that was destroyed by someone. So here's him actually talking about that pipeline, but I don't think it'll be any more comprehensible than the fucking last thing we watched. We'll have to see, though. We'll have to see.
Event had become, quote, a tremendous opportunity. In fact, a tremendous strategic opportunity for the years to come. It's a good thing. Now, that's an admission. That's the clearest admission we're ever going to get. No one could miss it, least of all the Russians. The Biden administration is responsible, either directly or through proxies, for the destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline.
We actually don't know that.
And the environmental catastrophe and the economic collapse that will certainly follow. That is true. It's done. So the question is, where does that leave us? And that's the problem. This act leaves us, the United States, with no option but total war with Russia. There is no off-ramp now. There is no way out. We are all in, no matter what that means, no matter where it goes.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that things are a little tense, more tense than they've been in a long time between the United States and Russia. But I don't think that there's just no way to not do a fucking World War III. I think there's a ton of ways to not do a World War III. So I think that these people are just fear mongering, and they're trying to like basically get you to believe that Joe Biden is trying to start World War III for whatever reason. He might be trying to start World War III. Maybe it's to distract from Hunter Biden. It could be just because they're too woke and they're just going to start World War III because that's what you do when you're woke. It could be any number of things they want you to believe is the reason, and they want you to believe that Joe Biden and the Biden administration want to start World War III with Russia. And it's also like oftentimes sort of presented to us in a way and where Russia is not really an aggressor. And that's a little bit insane because it seems that Russia has behaved fairly aggressively. So here's the last Tucker clip for the evening, I think. Actually, I promise. It's Glenn Greenwald on his show to talk about World War III.
It seems to me no matter how you feel about Putin, or Ukraine or the justice of the war or anything, the threat, the very real, in-your-face threat of a nuclear exchange right now that they're openly talking about would require the media to start telling people, hey, this is real, but nobody is. And I wonder why that is.
If you look at the history of American wars, Tucker, over the last several decades, they're incredibly similar. The way they convince Americans to support U.S. involvement in a war is they personalize a particular leader, get us to hate that leader. Oh, Saddam Hussein in Iraq is a terrible guy. Bashar al-Assad in Syria is this tyrannical force. Mullah Omar in Afghanistan is somebody we have to go and take out. Gaddafi in Libya, and our emotions get up and we say, yeah, we can't, well, let's go take out these tyrants. And then, hundreds of billions of dollars later and lives lost, polls always show that Americans come to realize that they regard those wars as a mistake. And the reason is they realize
because those wars have been a mistake
to the United States and American citizens by virtue of U.S. involvement in those wars. So let's apply that framework here. The consensus in Washington is that we are closer to the use of nuclear weapons than at any time since the Cuban Missile Crisis 60 years ago. There is a very real threat of a nuclear exchange or even a direct confrontation with Russia and the United States. And over what? Over who governs and rules not even Ukraine, but the Donbass, the eastern region in Ukraine, where a majority of people actually identify as ethnic Russians and want to be part of Russia. And yet there's almost no debate over whether we should be sending huge amounts of money there and risking the lives of American citizens through the possibility of a nuclear war, because everyone knows that the minute you step up and step out of line, there's a horde of people ready to call you unpatriotic or a traitor or an admirer of Vladimir Putin, as I know is being done with our very segment right this minute by all those Media Matter people and other people online. So it's a really repressive atmosphere at its...
I don't know if they're like directly aligned with Russia or with Vladimir Putin, but they certainly seem to be banging the war drum here. You don't have to be outwardly or openly calling for a World War III to be banging the drum anyway. It seems like there's nothing these people want more than World War III to start, so they could say that they were right.
Washing a debate that we absolutely have to have.
But we're losing track of reality. If a nation has nuclear weapons and you believe even theoretically they might use them, you have to treat that nation differently. You may not want to, it may be unfair, but that's why nations seek nuclear weapons, because you can't boss them around. If you ignore the possibility that your entire population could be killed, you are not fit for leadership because you're insane. And it feels like our leaders are right there. They're insane.
Well, it feels like that, but are they right there? I don't think they're right there. It just feels like that to you, Tucker, because that's the shit you have to sell your audience. He has to sell his audience the idea that World War III is probably coming and that it's going to be the fault of the Democrats, and that because that's like the only position he can take anymore, because he's sort of painted himself into a corner on this stuff.
I think there's almost this sense that has been purposely cultivated to believe that the use of nuclear weapons really isn't a realistic possibility, even though we have had the use of nuclear weapons in the last century when the U.S. did it in Japan for World War II. And we came very close on at least 2 or 3 occasions. The U.S. and Russia did, these very same countries, to exchanging nuclear weapons and risking nuclear annihilation, including in the Cuban Missile Crisis, because the U.S. felt that the Russian presence over the border in Cuba was so threatening that we were going to have a nuclear war over it. That's how Russia sees what's happening in Ukraine right across their border. It is madness to assume that for Russia, what is an existential war, if they actually start losing it or NATO really starts escalating as we've been doing, that the chances of Vladimir Putin using nuclear weapons is zero. This is a dangerous delusion that I think a lot of people are operating under.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
I don't think anybody thinks the chance of nuclear like weapon use is zero. That's like saying something's unlikely is not the same as saying that it's zero. I think it's unlikely. I think that like whoever you think is a bad person, right? Whether you think Vladimir Putin's the super baddie bad, or if you think it's Joe Biden in the United States, they're super baddie bads. These people are all aware of what happens in a full on nuclear war. Every one of these people will die. Like you can be evil and still believe in self-preservation. Like this is stupid. This is incredibly stupid. I don't think we're going to have a nuclear exchange with Russia anytime soon. I hope we don't. And I think what Glenn Greenwald and some other dumb left people are doing, they're actually fanning the flames, and to the extent that they can, they're going to make it more likely, not less, by suggesting that this is like the path that we're on. Because if people start thinking that it's inevitable, then it becomes more likely, I think. Anyway, here's Fox's The Five talking about how college students aren't hot anymore.
About the evils of predatory lending. Predatory lending pretty much are the college loans. So make the banks and make these schools pay it. Don't make the taxpayers. And last, college doesn't look like it's fun anymore. Right. I mean, have you seen a lot of how miserable looking a lot of the students are? They're deliberately like uglifying themselves. You see them on TikTok. Wow. They're out of shape. They're asexual. They're rejecting the truth and beauty. They all look like rejects from a loony bin. I'd steer clear of college too.
Congress, make the college presidents come before you and explain why this stuff keeps going up. This should be a first start. One more thing is up next.
Yeah, Congress, have the college presidents come in front of you and explain to you why all the kids at their school are just a bunch of fucking uggos now. Like, what the fuck was that? Like, that's just an incredibly dumb thing. Like, it's like old man yells at cloud dumb, right? Because that guy, he's not supposed to understand what's going on a college campus. He's like, got what, a few years on me. So like, why would he have his finger on the pulse of a college campus? Why would he be up to date on what the fashion trends are, or what people look like, or just how they want to present themselves at college? The dude's like middle-aged. Middle-aged people aren't really supposed to understand college kids, at least not their fashion or whatever. So here's going to be Newt Gingrich doing some apologetics for the behavior of one Herschel Walker. He's going to be talking about, well, I think I'll let Newt say it here because it's pretty amazing what he says here.
I talked to Herschel about this morning, and I've known Herschel a good while. I think he's a remarkable person. I think he's the most important Senate candidate in the country because he'll do more to change the Senate just by the sheer presence, by his confidence, by his deep commitment to Christ, by the degree to which he is, he's been through a long, tough period. He had a lot of concussions coming out of football. He suffered PTSD.
Just word salad from him. Oh, he's going to bring a lot to the Congress. They just want to win so that they can fucking try to outlaw abortion. That's what they want. I mean, and Newt's the kind of guy who would just come on TV and say that. But this the clip was cut a little short. But people can have concussions and come back from it. Herschel Walker has CTE, and that's different. That's like a longer term, bigger problem than just having had a concussion. Just so people are aware. Up next is Dana Loesch. I don't know why they're letting her speak again, but she's speaking again. And she just doesn't care what Herschel Walker did. She wants control of the Senate. She's at least willing to tell the truth.
So does this change anything? I mean, do you want my opinion? You're listening. Not a damn thing. How many times have I said 4 very important words? These 4 words. Winning is a virtue. What I'm about to say is in no means a contradiction or a compromise of a principle. And please keep in mind that I am concerned about one thing and one thing only at this point. So I don't care if Herschel Walker paid to abort endangered baby eagles. I want control of the Senate. If the Daily Beast story is true, you're telling me Walker used his money to reportedly pay some skank for an abortion.
Some skank?
And Warnock wants to use all of our monies to pay a whole bunch of skanks for abortion.
What the fuck?
And yes, when they're used predominantly over 99% of birth control and it's my taxpayer dollars, you have invited me up in your business and I will use whatever descript I would like to. Thank you. So
thank you, I guess.
It doesn't change anything for me.
All right. Well, you're a ghoul. But yeah, at least she's got the sentient take. At least she is just saying what's true, is that she doesn't care. She wants the Republicans to win the Senate. And that's just the only take that isn't a lie. So here's James Carville, probably one of the most annoying, Democratic talking heads. But what he's going to say here about Florida and bathrooms and the hurricane and stuff, it's pretty on point. So every once in a while, we gotta give credit where credit's due.
Think of Governor Ron DeSantis' handling of Hurricane Ian so far?
Well, listen to me, Ron D. Katrina. Push the fried chicken and the mashed potatoes and the gravy back. The first thing is you can suspend your toilet patrols or who's using which bathroom because none of the toilets are working in Southwest Florida. They're all backed up. The second thing you need to do is forget about Martha's Vineyard, hire a bunch of buses, go to El Paso, to Matamoros, to Laredo, to Nogales, to Mexicali, and put a sign up and says, we need workers. No questions asked, high wages, all right? Stop all the stunts you're doing. You're going to need immigrants, and a lot of them. You're going to need drywall people. You're going to need bricklayers. You're going to need carpenters. You're going to need roofers, and there are not enough roofers in Florida to deal with this. And the third thing you need to do is change the curriculum in the textbook and tell young people what the effect of 87-degree water in the western Gulf of Mexico has on the state of Florida. I can tell you what it is. It's profound. This guy has no idea of what he's doing. Forget the toilets, forget the immigration stunts, and forget not teaching math to kids. Tell them what the hell is going on in their lives. And that's what he needs to do. He don't know whether to wind his watch or scratch his watch or wind his rear.
At the end, that was weird. He doesn't know whether to scratch his watch or wind his rear. James Carville shouldn't be on TV, I don't think, but he had mostly the right take there about climate change, education, the bathrooms, and primarily getting anybody into Florida who's willing to work and rebuild all the buildings that got knocked down. I think that was the right take. Generally, until the end where he started talking about winding, I don't know, whatever. That was weird at the end. So if you could imagine this, there's a Republican strategist who works at CNN, and she is going to have the wrong take on legalizing cannabis. And hang on a sec. Sorry about that.
I think this will be very impactful for Joe Biden and Democrats in terms of winning over a large portion of the voter electorate that thinks this is an important issue. There are a lot of Democrats, and 3/4 of Americans think that we should legalize marijuana. So that is something, certainly a factor in him making this decision. I see this as a ploy to, in midterms, to gain support and gain voters.
Yes, that's what politicians do. They do politically motivated things. Good job. She's a great strategist.
I happen to think that marijuana is a gateway drug. I'm not a big advocate for legalizing marijuana, maybe for medicinal purposes, but not as a whole.
Why are you looking at me?
No, I'm saying as a whole. But here's the thing. Part of his announcement was to also advocate to governors do the same at the state level. That's not happening. I reached out to Governor Asa Hutchinson's office in Arkansas. They don't like this. He sees this as waving the red flag of surrender to protecting the lives of those who are victims of drug abuse.
You surprised that the governor of Arkansas isn't like, oh yeah, that's great, let's actually legalize cannabis? I'm stunned that the governor of Arkansas was not super happy with legalizing cannabis. You don't fucking say. It's the gateway drug is alcohol, everybody. Just so everybody knows, that's the gateway drug. That's the one that people do. A lot of people smoke cannabis too, but the gateway drug is in fact alcohol. So we watched this whole thing last night, but I'm going to play a clip of it. This is Tucker Carlson's special, The End of Men. And here's a segment about bro scientists. It was pretty funny. We had a lot of fun watching this last night for Catterday.
They call themselves bro scientists, half jokingly. We met some of them at a ranch outside of Austin, Texas to see what they're doing.
Bro science to me is based on actual published studies, but a lot of it is self-experimentation.
You know, there are very few, if any, peer-reviewed double-blind studies to answer the kind of questions that most bros want to know. So instead, we just have to rely on our own experience. The best response to this is a strong politics of nationalism. The nation is only as strong as the individuals who make it up. And that's where...
Just like straight up fascist shit right here, right?
Superfood, packed with protein, fats, vitamins, minerals, and anabolic cholesterol. The absolute opposite of the disgusting rubbish that the globalists want you to eat. I've tried at various times to sleep on the floor, but it's a bit too much for me. Cold showers are supposed to have various hormonal effects. It's interesting, there's a kind of schism actually on right-wing Twitter about you're either sunning your balls or you're freezing your balls.
My name on Twitter is Benjamin Braddock. I'm a right-wing bro scientist, and yes, I tan my balls.
The whole thing was crazy. Like the End of Men documentary was absolutely wild. I'm super glad we watched it. I thought it was going to be boring, but we had just had a lot of fun watching it last night. I can't recommend it highly enough. More people should watch the Tucker Carlson End of Men documentary. I'm not saying you should watch it because it's giving you good information. I'm saying you should watch it because it's giving you such bad information that it's highly entertaining. Highly entertaining. Up next, we got Jesse Waters, also on the 5. This is from the 3rd, so that's 6 days ago. I believe that's Monday. And he thinks an NYC city council person might be working for the Russian government. And then the Decoding Fox News put together a little montage of people at Fox kind of carrying weight for the Russian government.
She says, don't call 911. So if you have a public official who's saying, empty the prisons, don't call 911 and defund the police, she's the enemy. Right. How is she not being investigated? How do we know she's not working with the Russians, the cartels, the Crips? Prove
the Crips. She's working with the Crips. Fucking NYC city council person working with the Crips.
That's how you destroy this country.
Vladimir Putin may be evil. They tell us that he is evil. But is he stupid? Probably isn't stupid. New York Times just ran this headline, quote, U.S. intelligence is helping Ukraine kill Russian generals. Oh, no big deal. According to the paper, quote, the United States has provided intelligence about Russian units that's allowed Ukrainians to target and kill many of the Russian generals who died in action in the Ukraine war, according to senior American officials. So they're bragging about it. The Biden administration has sent so many weapons to the Zelensky government in Ukraine and to the swastika-covered Azov battalion that the truth is much more obvious. What is this really about? Why do I hate Putin so much? Has Putin ever called me a racist? Has he threatened to get me fired for disagreeing with him? Has he?
So that's like sort of, Waters was like suggesting that the New York City council person might be working for the Russians, but then it like appears that Tucker always has the take that is favorable to Russia. And maybe Russia's right. Maybe all of this is just he just has the right take. But I can't. Tucker Carlson has such a long history of having the wrong take that I think these are cases where he has the wrong take. So up next we got Marjorie the Gathering. She is going to give her thoughts on the newest Supreme Court Justice Jackson.
Then we have these radical, I call them communist. Democrats are communists, okay? Yes, they are. And that's what this...
Well, there's like 8 people there. Look at that. Is that a cardboard? Is that a picture? If you count Marjorie, the picture of Marjorie Taylor Greene, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that a person or a cutout? Is that a cutout of Lauren Boebert? There's like 8 people there, 9 people there. If you count like this picture of Marjorie Taylor Greene and this, what I believe is a cutout of Lauren Boebert in the background.
United States Supreme Court judges, she's a communist, and they want to
there's more people. I was wrong.
Using the power of the Supreme Court to change the way we vote by giving more rights to minorities instead of keeping voting rights equal, because that's what it should be. There should be no difference in any of your identity, your skin color. Guess what? None of us stood in line and picked our skin color before we were born. That's a fact. So
why is it that some of us have to stand in line, long lines to vote, oftentimes based on our skin color or the skin color of the majority of the people in our neighborhood, Marjorie? Because it ain't fucking people like Marjorie Taylor Greene in their upper middle class neighborhoods waiting in line to vote. It's people in dense areas with a lot of black and brown voters that end up waiting in line to vote. So I don't know. You want to talk about waiting in lines, lady? We can definitely do that. She can't like really give an example of how minorities have more voting rights because there's no example of that to be had, right? There just isn't. You can't present one. Anyway, we're going to move on to Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was asked some questions about the 2020 election, and he didn't really like the questions.
Hey, Senator. Good to see you in Arizona. It's good to be here. You objected to the 2020 vote here in Arizona and in the Senate. You were the lead Senate objector to that. Since then, there have been a few audits. The Republican governor, Republican Senate president, the Republican Speaker of the House all said the election was fair. Do you disagree with Doug Ducey and agree with Blake Masters and Carrie Lake, or have you changed your view? It's been 2 years now.
There's a reason the media is a joke, because questions like that, please, let's have one Republican fight with another Republican. Let me tell you what the people of Arizona care about, that we have the highest inflation in the country in the Phoenix area. What the people of Arizona care about is they can't afford to put food on the table. They can't afford to fill their car. What the people of Arizona care about is the murder rates that are out of control. What the people of Arizona care about...
The people of Arizona voted for Joe Biden.
Look,
Wait, no, right? Did they not? Did they or did they not vote for Joe Biden?
Your job
did they or
is
did
to
they
be
not
a
vote
shill
for
for
Joe
the Democrats.
Biden?
But that's not your job, and I don't care about your political agenda.
I don't have.
This
I'm
is an
asking
election.
you. Did you
done.
try
Next
to
question.
object
You're
to
done.
their
You're done.
vote?
You're done.
Why am I done?
Because you're being a hack.
Oh man, some of that reporting from the circus on Showtime has been pretty good. I'd recommend checking it out. That guy's pretty funny, and he asked like a reasonable question. He's like, but the people of Arizona, particularly the people of Phoenix, that's a city. The cities are where like Democrats get all their votes. So like the people of Phoenix aren't like anti-Biden or whatever. They may have problems with him or whatever. They voted for him like probably 2-1, just like every other city in this country. I don't know. That guy's not good at answering questions. He's bad at his job. Ted Cruz. Nobody likes Ted Cruz either. Like none of his colleagues, Republican or Democrat, like him. That's not my opinion. That's like the word on the street. That's sort of what the conventional wisdom is that nobody likes this guy. So we're going to move on now to Tony Babulinski. Apparently he has the goods on Hunter Biden and no one would pay attention to him.
For the sake of our country, for national security. At that point, he was candidate Joe Biden. Now he's the sitting president of the United States, the most powerful person in the free world, and daunting. So at the end of that 5+ hour interview, the head of station told my lawyers, listen, an individual named Tim Tebow is going to run point on all of this. We're definitely going to have Tony come back in for a follow-up interview. Could be as early as next week. Some of the people that were in the room weren't well versed on all these facts. We may want to have people come in from Baltimore or Delaware. And, you know, I was ready to sit down with anybody that needed me to or travel wherever I wanted to. And so the head of station gave my lawyers Tim Tebow's cell phone number. Tim was not there that day. I think he was out of Washington, D.C. But my lawyers had an hour and a half call with him that Friday night, October 23rd, and subsequent calls through the weekend and the following week when I was then coming on your show to provide the facts to the American people. And they were supposed to be working a follow-up interview, and Tim Tebow, in his last discussion with my legal counsel, was, listen, we know Tony's cooperating. We appreciate all the information he's provided. We will follow up with you. We're definitely going to have him come in for a follow-up interview or spend some more time on this. And I haven't heard from him since.
At all?
No. Nor have my lawyers.
No communication whatsoever?
No.
Since before the 2020 election?
Correct.
That's shocking.
Shocking, yeah, that would be one adjective, yeah.
Tell us about Tim Tebow.
I didn't interact with him. My lawyers did, and had extensive
player.
discussions. Obviously,
they were shining this guy on. They're like, we're going to have Tim Tebow call you. Like, this guy supposedly had some information about Hunter Biden. He might not have got called back because they couldn't verify any of what he was saying. He might not have got a call back because they figured out he was lying. There are any number of reasons that this guy might not have been called back by Tim Tebow. And I don't know, sometimes crimes were committed and law enforcement just doesn't follow up for whatever reason. They don't follow up. Who knows? I don't really care about like Hunter Biden or his former business associate or anything like that. I'm not interested in that stuff. But watching these people freak out that law enforcement isn't taking them seriously is pretty funny. I do like that. So up next, we got literal white supremacist, self-described white supremacist. Jared Taylor is going to talk about The Little Mermaid.
So what's the thinking behind this? That race is a social construct? Hardly. It's elimination of white people, even from our own history and our own fairy tales.
Oh, come on.
While blacks glory in a heroic, all-black fantasy past and an all-black high-tech fantasy future. If that's supposed to boost their self-esteem
what the fuck?
And make them stop shooting each other and us, it's not working. Or is it supposed to demoralize whites, make us think we were bit players in history and have a meager future? Judging from television ads in which all the couples are now mixed race, it looks like we're supposed to miscegenate ourselves into extinction and have no future at all. Black people are posting videos of their children bursting with happiness when they see the trailer for The Little Mermaid. She's black like me. What about the little white girls who say, Daddy, that's not Ariel. Who cares about them? They can't have their own story.
A parent in that case would be like, actually, that's an actor playing Ariel, and she seems to be a good actor, and would you like to go see The Little Mermaid?
This is all part of the sick and sickening adoration for blacks and loathing for whites we see everywhere.
Well, okay. Leave it to Jared Taylor to just do a fucking racism. Like, he said our history and our fairy tales are being erased because they like hired a black actor to play Ariel. That's all they did. They just cast a black actor. Girl got pipes too, by the way. Not for nothing. That girl can sing. Or I'm sorry, that young woman can sing. And she was maybe the best for the job. I can't imagine her not being. I don't know if you heard any of the singing. Yo, it was real. So we didn't really have a palate cleanser this week, but I saw this thing, and I think you have to see it too. This guy, Kash Patel, he's one of Trump's people, one of Trump's like advisors, or I don't know what he's doing here. He's like the some kind of archivist or some shit. I don't know what his exact job is in the Trump organization. He is I don't know if this is real or fake or whatever, but he's putting this out there. It's supposed to be like a child show about Donald Trump. I didn't look too deeply into this. I didn't have a lot of time today to look deeply into anything for this show. So this is weird.
Make America great again. Now,
Hillary's army of lies will stop at nothing to get their power back. Call them all racists. But a wizard with skills to uncover the truth takes the journey of a lifetime with Duke Devin while facing off with the likes of Shifty Knight.
Look at yourself. Why would anyone ever want to be with you?
I'm not sure, really. Oh, yeah. Perhaps because I'm rich, I live in a castle, and I can do magic.
Keeper Comey, Hillary Clinton, the Heralds, and King Donald. The stakes are stacked high in the
Plot Against the King. So it's a children's book, I guess, that this guy had put out, The Plot Against the King, and there's a video about it, but it was like poorly done, like sort of like AI, like face replacement. I'm just not sure like what to think of that. If maybe people can leave a comment on like the video or like in the podcast review, like what do you think of that? Because I have no idea what to think about it. You could email me or something too, I suppose. It was just weird, and so I figured with like, why not watch it on the Sunday show? Because we are definitely dealing in the weird news of the week here. Up next, we got a Newsmax segment where they're talking about Donald Trump eating a taco bowl.
Jill Biden, Dr. Jill is not doing much better, and what a great day to have you on, because today happens to be National Taco Day. I'm sure she's been hiding under a rock today, but a lot of folks remembering that. And we look at this lovely photo here of a man who respects everybody, doesn't make anybody feel uncomfortable. Former President Trump eating a taco bowl there. Iconic photo. Great memory. Will Wett, Bryson Gray, Drew Hernandez, great to have you here tonight. Thank you, gentlemen.
I mean, maybe the taco bowl was good, but like it doesn't like show that you respect anybody just because you ordered a taco bowl. Like, what a weird thing. But it's Newsmax. Newsmax is super fucking weird. Trump has always been kind of associated with Newsmax too, going way back. So, yeah, I don't know. One taco bowl. You saw me eating a taco bowl, would you be like, Dave? Dave is a man of the fucking people because he ate a taco bowl. I feel like you probably wouldn't. So while we're on Newsmax here, here's I believe Newsmax's Eric Bolling. He's going to talk about Scooby-Doo.
Well, did you see that? Our beloved Scooby-Doo has gone woke. Velma has come out as LGBTQ. I'm guessing she's the L, but
she was a lesbian the whole time.
Maybe the B, I don't know. Perhaps the T would mean she's been a dude all along, all this time, right? I'm not sure. Maybe it's the Q. Truth be told, I can't really tell the difference between most of the letters. It always confuses me, by the way, folks, when a man decides he's a woman, becomes a woman, then sleeps with women. I mean, why don't you say a man? Sorry, don't hate on me, liberals and lefties. I don't hate y'all. I just don't fully understand the different categories. But
it's not really, doesn't matter.
But do we really need our kids exposed to those ideas? Scooby-Doo, a kid's cartoon. Again, adults, no issue with what you want to be, but kids and cartoons geared straight at kids, no gracias. By the way, Velma, she's gay now? Don't worry to my straight male friends. Daphne, she's still straight as far as we can see. And as far as I can see, by the way, HBO Max, is Fred straight? I mean, if Velma is lesbian...
Man, this guy's like gossiping about the fucking people on Scooby-Doo. This is kind of sad. Like, I don't care. I'm glad. I mean, that one lady was a lesbian the whole time. But
see Fred being gay. I don't know. Scooby, what do you think, Fred? Is he gay?
Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's production value there, everybody. Production value. Sometimes some people have it, some people don't. Clearly, that guy has production value. So up next, we got Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh has had a week. Boy, has Matt Walsh had a week. After kind of talking about teenagers being the most fertile, he has, and then being rightfully criticized for that after he spent the last year calling anybody who's just a little bit gay or whatever a groomer, calling every teacher a groomer, just calling anybody who talks about anything gay, basically, calling them a groomer. Well, here's him responding to his critics.
So here's my official answer for the record. Kiss my ass. I do not apologize. In fact, by all rights, you sick freaks should be the ones apologizing to me.
For what?
For lying and defaming me, and doing it all because I'm trying to prevent you from sexually mutilating children.
Yikes, dude. Yikes.
You damned monsters. You child-abusing psychopaths. I wouldn't apologize to you, soulless parasites, if I had a gun to my head. Instead, I'd rather just tell you all to piss off. I apologize for nothing. I concede nothing. I will never surrender even a single inch of ground to a pitchfork mob of degenerate morons. You know, the secret they never say out loud is that nobody is truly canceled unless they consent to it and they willingly play their assigned roles. Well, I do not consent, and I'm not going to play the game. I'm not going anywhere.
YouTube needs to kick him off. Twitter needs to kick him off. He said things that violate the rules of both of those platforms. But all these companies are terrified of being accused of having a lefty bias. And so what happens is people like Matt Walsh get to go on there and lead harassment campaigns against people, essentially. And then if they even get like one little tweet pulled down, or if they get one YouTube video like demonetized, even not taken down, but demonetized, they just throw a whole big cancel culture fit. They're like, look, the leftist giant corporation is out to get me, and they're out to get you. And these companies have fucking just been afraid of this the whole time. It's like when it's playing the ref. They're not playing the game, they're playing the ref, and it's working. So why would they do anything else? So here's more Matt Walsh calling for arranged marriages, if you could imagine that.
Meanwhile, there are far too many choices. So the modern dating scene is what happens when every beggar becomes a chooser. Everyone is lonely and desperate for companionship, but the field is so flooded with options, there's such a surplus that you begin to feel kind of like I feel when I'm in the condiment aisle at Walmart trying to buy mustard. And there are 197 different types of mustard. And though all I want is just regular mustard, the overwhelming
then just buy the yellow mustard in the Heinz thing, dude.
Options paralyzes me, and I'm just standing there.
Well, we learned something today. This guy's paralyzed by too many mustards. Fucking not very smart, really, right? Because I already know what kind of mustard I want. I either want the spicy brown stuff for like a sandwich, or I want the yellow stuff for a hot dog. And so, I don't know why you'd be paralyzed by the choice of all these mustards. The bright yellow one should be easy to find.
They're slack-jawed, questioning whether I should be settling for just regular mustard when I could be getting gourmet, Dijon, whole grain, honey French, yellow, spicy brown, white yellow, German mustard instead.
Well, they all have different use cases, sir.
All of modern life is plagued by this problem. Everything is plentiful and can be obtained effortlessly and cheaply. But it's too plentiful and too effortless and too cheap. So you can turn on your TV and watch literally any movie that's ever been made, any TV show that's ever been produced. And yet how many nights have you wasted scrolling through the infinite catalog and then settling on reruns of, The Office because there's nothing else to watch? Well, there's plenty to watch. It's just that you can't settle on any one thing because your awareness that there are billions of other possibilities gives you anxiety.
That's the problem of choice. People are more happy when they have like fewer choices. Like when they pick a product or whatever, if you only have like 6 mustard choices, you're probably going to be happier with your choice than if there's 900 of them. But so what?
And it makes it so that you can never be sure that you're choosing the absolute best option, which means that often you don't choose anything at all. So dating is like this now. Whereas before you had only the eligible single people in your town to choose from, now you have the entire internet. You're not confined by geographic boundaries or any other boundaries.
I mean, yeah, you are. It's really hard to date somebody who lives far away.
The result, ironically, is paralysis. Now, on the complete opposite end of this spectrum are arranged marriages. Instead of a boundless, never-ending buffet of options, a young person in a culture that practices arranged marriages will be assigned just one, and they don't even make the choice. Their families just pair them up and say, here you go. There's far less freedom and far less autonomy in a system of that sort, but it is without a doubt superior to our system.
Wait, what?
We would be happier. Every person in the dating scene right now would be happier if they were just matched up with someone against their will.
Wait, what?
Actually.
That sounds incorrect. I'm not an expert, but I don't think like just matching people like this is who you have to marry, whether you like it or not, is going to make most people happy. I think most people are going to be pretty fucking pissed off with that arrangement. First of all, like, what about gay people? Like, arranged marriages were almost always a man and a woman, as far as I know. So that doesn't really work out so hot for the gay people. And then, like, what if you're just not into the other person? Then what? Fucking weirdo, dude. Fucking calling for arranged marriages. Get the fuck out of here. All right, we're getting to the end of my story list here. We're probably going to cut the podcast part of the show a little short this week and just go into red light, but I got 2 more here. No, I got 3 more. I got Dave Rubin and Dennis Prager talking about Dave's new kids, and it's this one's going to be a little weird.
You know, it's interesting because, as you know, we just had Justin a couple of weeks ago, and we've got baby number two on the way. But we did the bris at 8 days, and you know, if you look at it from a purely secular point of view, it's somewhat of a crazy thing to do. You bring this perfect thing into the world, and then you're cutting this child. That's what you're doing. And I remember David and I had this talk before about, you know, our thoughts on everything, and my overriding feeling about it was that my parents did it. Their parents did it, their parents' parents did it, and beyond that, for something like 5,783 years.
3,000.
But that's like a dumb reason to do something.
Really, 3,200.
Yes.
Yeah, or 4,000, actually
4,000, right, the calendar, but we go back to Abraham. Okay, but the point is that it's been done for a long, long time, and I felt am I just wiser than everyone that came before me?
Oh, God bless.
But you might just, it's not that you're wiser, you just might not want to do it. You don't have to be like wiser than everybody to be like, I don't really want to do that. It doesn't make you could just do things differently than someone else, and you don't even have to think that you're fucking a genius or that you're somehow wise because you did something different.
Bless you. Oh, that's so the perfect reaction. And that's what they believe.
They think they are.
Leftists believe they are the best people who ever lived. They do. That's why they tear down Lincoln and Washington. We are better than them. They don't hold a candle to these people. By the way, I just want you to know I have 2 sons, as you'll have, God willing, and I had I don't cry easily, and I was with it.
He's like, I mean, I'm not Jordan Peterson. I don't cry easy.
Times I most remember sobbing was at their bris, at their circumcision, exactly for what you said. Holy crow, this goes back 4,000 years. I'm not prepared to end it.
It just felt crazy to me. Like, no, I just know so much. I won't.
But that's not a reason to like not do what your parents did. I mean,
it's almost grotesque in a bizarre sense to think that way.
There are people who think it's kind of grotesque to just cut off the head of some, or the foreskin on somebody's dick. I tend to be more in that camp. I'd be like, the baby didn't fucking consent to that shit. Like, but just because like it's a tradition, it's not a good reason to do it. If you deny tradition, it doesn't mean that you think you're smarter than the people who came before you. I mean, Dave Rubin isn't smarter than anybody. I can't imagine Dave Rubin being smarter than anybody. I mean, I guess like maybe there are small children who he could outwit. Maybe we'll have to see though. I bet his kids are going to run roughshod on him, Dave Rubin. But don't worry. Here's Dave Rubin by himself. Going to be even also yikes. It's going to be hard for it to be weirder than the thing he just did with Prager, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Nothing. It's meaningless drivel. Every word that comes out of his mouth. Yes, he was raised in the Puerto Rican community politically. What does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. I actually do want to throw back to it. It's only 10 seconds. Because look at Jill Biden, this woman who, she's worse than him because she knows what's going on and she's abusing him and using him and all of that stuff. And she's probably banging Gavin Newsom on the side.
What?
They're little breaking news for you. But look at her face the entire time because she knows everything he says is nonsense. She knows he can't read the teleprompter correctly. And she knows he's always one breath away from the entire thing breaking down. Look at the soulless look in her face.
Like he just said that the president's wife is probably cheating on him with the governor of California. That's some pretty weird shit to say. I mean, it'd be like blockbuster news if it was true, but I don't know, like, not like some Jill Biden stand, but she seems fine. She seems lovely. She's not like taking advantage of anybody. Her husband's the president, and she's doing her job as the first lady, being supportive of her husband. I mean, like, I don't understand. Also, like, I think they just mad at her because she's a woman with a PhD. So our last story on the docket this week, we're going to get into red light a little bit early, cut the pod a little bit short. Maybe I'll put the red light out as a freebie this week. We got Lauren Chen going to talk about men crying, and of course it's going to be about old beef and benzos, Jordy Pete.
Clearly, Dr. Peterson does get choked up a little bit. You know, he gets a little teary-eyed when he begins
when he talks about the involuntarily celibate
lost young men out there. And for a lot of us, I think that would be a moving moment. I mean, Dr. Peterson is so taken back with just empathy for all of the young men out there who are searching for meaning in their lives and who are lonely, that, you know, he does get emotional about it. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that, but of course, leftists on Twitter have a different approach, and they use this opportunity to absolutely, frankly, bully Dr. Peterson for showing a small amount of vulnerability on camera.
What the marginalized? God forbid men who want to kill women who won't f them are pushed to the fringes of society. Am I right? The difference between even how a piece like Piers Morgan characterizes incels, lonely, despicable, weirdo men, and Jordan Peterson's characterization of incels as disaffected, marginalized young men really speaks to Jordan Peterson's philosophy regarding this whole incel situation.
But she just played that. That's great because that just got cut off at like the counterpoint to what she's saying. And it was a good counterpoint. You go on the incel forums or whatever, and they're not like talking about, oh, I'm sad and it would be nice if I had a girlfriend. There's like a lot of violent rhetoric on there talking about how it's all women's fault. It's the fault of womanhood in its entirety. Some of them hate gay guys too because we're getting laid. So the idea that it's just Peterson showing emotion, that's the problem. It's like, who is he crying for? And not for nothing, in that interview with Piers Morgan asked a good question. Piers Morgan's a piece of shit too, like that guy said, but Piers Morgan actually asked a pretty good question. He's like, hey, you know, these people are kind of despicable and they, you know, they're making the world a worse place, or I forget exactly his wording. He's like, you're kind of their king. You know, what's that all about? And I think Peterson didn't want to have a conversation about how he feeds into that. And so he just turned on the waterworks. And so that's like, I was talking to some people on Twitter and they'd never heard this. It's called cry bullying, right? It's where you use your tears to avoid a conflict, a confrontation, criticism, having to take criticism, having to deal with people who disagree with you. That's called cry bullying. And Peterson has done it on several occasions to several people who have asked him questions about this very subject. And I don't know. I mean, if it works for him, it works for him, but it's shitty. It's shitty and it's dishonest. And it's not like he's just a vulnerable man showing his emotions. No, he did it so he didn't have to answer the questions about his role in radicalizing young men. And I mean, if I were him, I wouldn't want to answer those fucking questions either, because they're hard questions. And he would have to be a little bit introspective and think about himself and his, possibly even examine his own character, or take a hard look in the mirror, metaphorically. I mean, he's not going to do that. He's not interested in that. So anyway, show was a little short this week, but only by about 5 minutes. I thought I had a long docket, but I guess I didn't. They were all real short clips. Also, just a little worn out, so I probably steamrolled the docket. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening to the podcast version of the show. I'll put out the member show for free this week, so y'all can check out the what went on in Red Light. Just go to patreon.com/echoplex. It'll be free, public for everyone. Make sure you're following us on YouTube. Just search for Echoplex Media on there. Odyssey too, if you're into Odyssey, follow us there. Twitch.tv/Echoplex Media to check out the live shows. And of course, go to echoplexmedia.com/support. You can buy the things that are left on the wish list that our friend Excessive Shopper hasn't purchased for us. I appreciate the support of the community. We would have not been able to build out this studio without everybody's help. Thanks for all the money you gave and all the items you gave us. We appreciate it. This is Boomers by Periscope. I might let another song roll. Depends on if I can get everything done that I need to do in the break. When I come back, the content of my drink will be different and the color of the lights in here will be different.
All the goth DJs and Twitch witches are hanging out on Thursday for the bad VHS rips, Unblinking Eyes, and Fire by Night. Thetans and Satans comes from an interest in the cult of Scientology, moral panics, Satanism, and how they set the tone for the extremist social media panics of today. We really earn our Weird Left Twitch badge with this show, watching the world go red light in reverse every Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/EchoplexMedia. Find our full schedule at echoplexmedia.com.